Good afternoon. Can you greet your seatmate? Good afternoon. I'm glad you're here today. Welcome to Elevate. I hope you enjoy this service. I hope you enjoy the message today. So, everyone, I know some of you guys don't know me. I know some of you guys are thinking, sino ba tong lalaking to nasa harap? But sino siya? First time ba niya dito? Yes, it's my first time. And just to give you guys a brief introduction of who I am, my name is Kuya Paulo. I'm a graduate from the Ateneo de Manila University. I graduated BS Biology, batch 2015. Okay? So 2015. Medyo bata pa naman. Pero, ayun, I'm here right now. I'm a full-time missionary in Elevate. And I want you guys to look at your seatmate. Tapos observe, okay? Mukha ba siyang future full-time missionary? O, diba? Okay. Or mukha ba siyang dating full-time missionary or current full-time missionary na? Or mukha ba siyang full-time missionary material? O, di ba? Okay. So, just a brief story. Back when I was in college, I had this classmate in one of my favorite subjects. No, I'm kidding. It's not my favorite subject. Chemistry. Chemistry. So I had a classmate in chemistry, and her name was Una. Di ba? Una. And then so, for a while, okay, so Una, that's a pretty cool name. I have another blockmate whose name was Uno. So there's Una, and then there's Uno. Okay, so he was a guy, actually he goes to CCF, si Uno. Buti na lang wala siya dito ata. Binigay ko siyang example. So anyway, so I have this classmate, her name was Una. And then after some time of getting to know them, classmates, syempre, asking ko ano yung mga homeworks, asking kung, paano ba to solve? Di ba? I asked her, why was your name Una? Because apparently, she said her name was Una because she had a twin sister. Sabi ko, you have a twin sister? Ano course niya? So, di ba, chemistry, gano'n. Tapos, apparently, yung twin sister niya, management naman. Management yung course. So, I asked, bakit Una ang pangalan mo? Kasi, pangalan ng kapatid niya, Isa. So the story was this. When her mom gave birth, siya yung unang lumabas, tapos may isa pa. So that was the story. So this is an introduction to our topic today for Minefields. For Minefields, we're going to discuss one of the most difficult things that the youth are going through today, and that is identity. Can you look at your seatmate and tell them identity? Mukha ba siyang may identity crisis? Wala naman siguro, Lord willing, di ba? Okay, alright, so what is this word identity? Back then, your identity is founded on what people call you. Right now, our parents love to make nicknames, want to name you after something based on how you were born, ganon. Like me, I was first born, so they called me Ruben. That was my first name, Ruben Paulo. So I was firstborn. For some of us, our parents love to give nicknames. For example, for me, sometimes they would give me weird nicknames like Bokchoy, like that, because I was a little round when I was younger. How many of you guys here had funny nicknames when they were younger? Or weird nicknames, right? Our parents love to give us nicknames. Why? Because they can remember what they call you because you have that feature that stands out, diba? Or even your friends now. Our friends now sometimes love to tease you, diba? Based on your appearance, based on what you're good at. Yan yung basketball player sa class natin. Ay, yan yung magaling sa math. Ay, yan yung mahiling mga sar, diba? Ay, yan yung joker, yan yung ganito. We love to call names. We like to say names. Sometimes we identify ourselves with the names. Okay? So what is identity? What does this mean? Can everyone read this with me? 1, 2, 3, go. Who or what a person or thing is, the quality of being identical. Wait a minute. So how did identity have the word similar or same or identical? How? Kaya mayroon tayong identical twins. Mayroon tayong, this is identical with the original, kaya may fake, di ba? Pero why is it that when you say identity, what am I comparing myself with? So, I want you guys to read this phrase. There. 1, 2, 3, go. See, your identity is the similarity between who you are now and who you were supposed to be. And that's what we're going to discuss now. Why is it that people are so far from who they're supposed to be? Why is it right now that the youth love to identify themselves with friends, with achievements, with awards, with orgs? Sino dito yung katabi nila mukhang mahilig sa mga clubs, sa mga orgs? Diba? Sino dito yung katabi nila identical sa kanila? Diba? Sino dito may maraming friends? Diba? Are you identical with your friends? Most of the time, we identify ourselves with the people we hang out with the things that we do. Right? But here, we're trying to discover where should we find our identity? Okay? And before we continue, before we look at the passage, I want everyone to bow down their heads first and close their eyes. So, Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this beautiful afternoon. Thank you so much for allowing us to gather here in this place. We thank you so much, Lord, for keeping us safe, for protecting us, for allowing us to be here, and for allowing us to just listen to your message. Lord, we pray that you be glorified and magnified this afternoon. Thank you so much. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Okay. So, can everyone read this? This is our main point. Find your true identity. Discover the true God. Okay? Why discover the true God? Because most of the time, a lot of us here have our false gods. You can find your idols in the things that you do. You feel so good when you're top 1. You feel so good when you're higher than your friend. You feel so good pag mas mataas yung grade mo dun sa kakompetensya mo. Di ba? And sometimes we love to identify ourselves with that. No, I'm valedictorian. Some of us here are so used to that in high school. When you enter college and you're not valedictorian, you're not top 1, everything becomes weird. We experienced that. At first, when I was in high school, I thought I was one of the best in English. I thought, oh, I'm good at English. That's easy peasy. When I entered Ateneo, I discovered that I was part of we have this course for basic English. If you didn't get high enough in the English proficiency test. So I was there in the basic English class. I was like, why am I here? I thought I was good at English. Why am I in this classroom? You see, because apparently I identified myself so much with that when it disappointed me, I felt lost. Can you look at your seatmate? Mukha ba silang lost ngayon? Lost in thought, lost in her eyes, di ba? Lost in love, mga ganun, di ba? See, a lot of us get so lost with our identity because we're having this crisis, we're having this moment where we're like, ano ba gagawin ko sa life ko? Some of us here are even thinking, am I in the right course? Some of us are here thinking, am I in the right family? Sana naman hindi. Pero, some of us here are thinking, do I have the right friends? Am I in the right school? Am I doing the things right? Am I in the right club? Am I in the right ministry? What am I doing? See, because people want to find their identity. So we're going to look at the passage here. Fighting false identities, 4 lessons from the life of Jacob. Okay? So we're going to look at the life of Jacob. We're going to tackle around 9 chapters. It's a span of 9 chapters. So I only placed a little bit kasi medyo mahaba. Siguro di na magkakasya yung buong 9 chapters na yun. So 4 lessons from the life of Jacob. Who here, yung katabi nila, mukhang Jacob. Pangalan nila Jacob. Sino dito nanonood ng Twilight? But, who here knows the story of Jacob? Can you raise your hand if you know the story of Jacob? Okay, so here. We're going to look at 4 things that happened in the life of Jacob and the 4 lessons that we can take from them. So we're going to look at Jacob's decisions, Jacob's consequences, Jacob's turning point, and then Jacob's response. Okay, but before anything else, we're going to look at the background. Genesis 25:19-20 NIV. This is the account of the family line of Abraham, the son of Isaac. Abraham became the father of Isaac. Isaac was 40 years old when he married Rebekah, daughter of Bethuel, the Aramean from Padan Aram, and sister of Laban, the Aramean. Isaac prayed to the Lord on behalf of his wife because she was childless. The Lord answered the prayer, and his wife Rebekah became pregnant. The babies jostled each other, meaning they were fighting, magmagulo sila within her. And she said, why is this happening to me? So here's Rebekah saying, Lord, promise mo nga na magkakaanak ako. Pero bakit ganyan? Ba't parang gulo nila sa tiyan ko? Ayoko naman ng ganun. Di ba? Sana walang, yun. Why is this happening to me? So, sana naman, ang iniisip ni Rebecca dito, sana naman at peace sila. Sana naman comfortable ako. Bakit ganito? Ang gulo. Di ba? Kung magulo yung tiyan nyo, baka mali yung kinain nyo. Okay? Why is this happening to me? So she inquired of the Lord. The Lord said to her, there are 2 nations in your womb. Hindi naman literally. There are 2 babies in your womb who are going to be nations, and the 2 peoples from within you will be separated. One will be stronger than the other, and the younger will serve the older. The older will serve the younger. The older will serve the younger. So, early on, wala pa sila Jacob, wala pa sila Esau, sinabi ni God, the older will serve the younger. Now, this is where the conflict is going to begin. When the time came for her to give birth, there were twin boys. The first to come out was red, and his whole body was like a hairy garment. So they named him Esau. Sino dito yung katabi nila mukhang namumula, naglo-blush, kinikilig? So they named him, sino dito mukhang Esau, di ba? Sino dito mukhang hairy garment? But anyway, going back. So here's Esau. He was red. That's why they also called him Edom, because Edom is Hebrew for red. That's why you have the Edomites coming from Esau. Okay? After this, his brother came out with his hand holding what? Grasping Esau's heel, so he was named Jacob. Why? Because Jacob means heel grabber. Okay? Which is a Hebrew idiom for deceiver. Okay? Isaac was 60 years old when Rebekah gave birth to them. Okay, fast forward a little bit. The boys grew up, and Esau became a skillful hunter. So he was a man of the open country. Sino dito lakotsero, katulad ni Esau? Yung katabi nila mukhang kalakotsero, ganun. Okay, katabi nila lakotsero, ganun. While Jacob on the other hand, si Jacob naman ito, he was content to stay at home. Content to stay at home. Buti na lang, andito kayo. Wala kayo sa bahay like Jacob. Among the tents. Si Isaac, so si Daddy, syempre, Daddy's boy, mahilig siya sa sports, mahilig siya sa outdoor. So he said, okay, let's do this. I love Esau kasi si Esau, magkaano kami? Magkalaro kami ni Esau sa labas, gano'n. Open country, I love hunting, I love doing all these things. I love Esau, gano'n si Isaac. And here's Rebecca. Siyempre, she's a good cook, si Rebecca. And she loved Jacob because Jacob was always at home. Hindi siya nag-aalala. Di ba? If you guys would notice, some of you guys here would have parents na pag nagpaalam kayo, mas gusto nyo nagpapaalam sa daddy nyo. Kasi daddy nyo di ba? Kasi mas papayaging daddy nyo pag yung mommy nyo, ang dami niyang rason, bakit doon ka lang sa bahay. So this is what's happening, and this is why there's a conflict. This is why there's conflict. See, Jacob was the second brother. His name means heel grabber. So imagine yourself being called a deceiver. Who here is named Jacob? Please don't raise your hand for now. Okay? See, his name was a deceiver. He was a homeboy. He was a mama's boy. He just loves to stay at home. And he just loves to play Dota at home. Basically, parang ganun siya. Okay? So that's Jacob. Now we're going to look at what's Jacob's decision. You see, one of the major things that affected Jacob was his name. Because names play a huge role back in society. As we were talking about earlier, your name is given to you because sometimes there's a meaning behind it. Sometimes it's something they notice from you. I found out when I was searching years ago, what does Paulo mean? That's my name. I found out Paulo came from the word Paul. Paul was actually a word for small. So I wasn't really happy to find out that my name meant small. So I didn't really grow. Kaya ganito lang ako, kataas. See, that's what Paul meant. What? That's sad. But see, Jacob back then, the impact now is different, okay? So, Jacob back then was holding on to that name. That, hey, I'm a deceiver. People would call your name, oh, deceiver. Imagine how sad that is for Jacob. But because Jacob was living with it, Jacob was used to it, syempre pangalan mo yun eh. He got used to it. Who among you here noticed that if you were teasing someone with someone else, tapos wala namang anything, Minsan, nagkakadevelopan kasi palagi kayo nangangasar. Mga ganon, di ba? Kaya tama na yung asaran, guys. That's why stop teasing. Okay? You see, there are moments like that where what people say about you affects how you act. You see, and that was the case for Jacob. Jacob was so fed up, he was so used to being called deceiver. Fine, I'm a deceiver anyway, let's go do something. So Jacob's decisions were widely affected because of who he was. So here's the first one. Jacob deceives people. So this is who he was. He was a deceiver. The first instance, there are 3 instances he deceived people. I'll just give a few. The first one was Jacob deceives Esau. When? Okay, you guys are familiar here. So here's Esau. He went out to play basketball. No, I'm kidding. He went out to go hunting. And when he got home, his younger brother was preparing food, etc. And then so Esau said, give me some food. I'm famished. I'm dying. And then here's Jacob thinking, this is a time for me to take advantage of my brother. Who here likes being taken advantage of? Wala, di ba? Sana naman walang nagtaas ng kamay. So Jacob took the opportunity to deceive Esau. And the first thing he said, usually you start with the biggest, di ba? Tapos palit ng paliit. Jacob gave the biggest, your birthright for this too. Payag agad tong si Esau. So imagine that. Bro, why? Why? Di ba? So Jacob got the birthright for stew. Next. Years later, Isaac is already in his deathbed, he's already dying, etc. And Isaac talks to his older brother, his favorite, his athlete. He talks to Esau and tells him, Esau, I'm dying, I'm an old man. I want to give my blessing to you before I die. So he said, okay, but first, please feed me with my favorite food. So Esau said, sige, okay, Dad, I'll go out. He went out to hunt for food. Yung napakamahal at napakasarap na food. Ganyan yung inutos ni Isaac sa kanya. And then Rebecca, I don't know how she heard it. She heard the conversation with Isaac and Esau, and she goes to Jacob. And she tells Jacob, Jacob, your dad is going to give the blessing. I want you to get ready. I'm going to get some garments. I'm going to cover you with fur. I'm going to get I'm going to get food from our farm, and I'm going to give it to your father. You're going to go to him, and you're going to receive the blessing. And here's Jacob. He was thinking, I'm a deceiver. Sure, why not? I already got his birthright anyway. I got his birthright already. The blessing should go to me anyway, because I have the birthright. So he does it. He disguised himself like Esau. He goes to his dad. He's not only a deceiver now, he's also a liar. Because Isaac said, Esau, is that you? Why do you sound like your younger brother Jacob? And he says, no, father, it is me. And then Isaac also tells him, how did you catch the food so fast? How did you catch the game so fast? And here goes Jacob saying, it was the Lord who provided. So imagine, from deceiver, he also becomes a liar. And that's a big deal back in society. You're not only a deceiver, but now you're also a liar. Sino dito, yung katabi nila, mukhang nag-lie na dati? Wow! Gusto ko yung may sumigaw. Okay. You see, Jacob already accepted it. That I'm a deceiver, I deceived my brother once, I can deceive my brother again. I already lied before, I did it once, I can do it again. And that's where the conflict is beginning. That's where the conflict is stirring. So before we go to our next point, let me just fix the PowerPoint kasi medyo siya dito. Okay. Okay. So our first point is going to come from that. Can we just flash it from the screen na lang? Okay. The first lesson that we need to see is look into what affects your decisions. You see, for Jacob back then, the things that affect his decision were, one, his mom. Because his mother was medyo tricky yung influence ng mom niya. But the biggest influence in Jacob's decisions to deceive was his name. Because people kept calling him a deceiver, because he knows his name was he was a deceiver, he knows his identity is a deceiver, he deceived. He kept on deceiving and deceiving, even to lying. I want you guys to look into your lives now. What are the things and who are the people who affect your decisions? Is it your friends? Is it your achievements? Is it the pressure going on, I should do this so I can keep my standard in school? Or is it God? Is it what the Lord is telling you? Because sometimes our decisions are solely based on us, on the people around us, or on the bad influences around us. And that's not what it's supposed to be. So that's the first thing we can notice from the life of Jacob. He decided to deceive because the things that affected his decision to deceive were his name, his mom, and the things going on around him. Okay, next slide. See, we're going to go to the second one, the consequences. Okay, next slide. See, Jacob's consequences, the results of Jacob's consequences were the results of Jacob's decisions were conflict. Okay? Next slide. See, what happened? As I asked earlier, sino ba dito gusto na they're being taken advantage of? No one. No one wants to be used. Genesis 27:41 said here, so Esau felt used twice. So he took the birthright, he took the blessing, he deceived his father Isaac. So here's Esau, so mad, he comes back with the food already for Isaac, and he said, it says here, Esau held a grudge against Jacob because of the blessing his father had given him. He said to himself, the days of my father's mourning, or the mourning of my father, are near. Then I will kill my brother Jacob. You see, every decision you make has a consequence. Every decision we make, everything that we do, every place that we go to, every involvement we get ourselves into, every achievement we try to strive for, always has a sacrifice, always has a consequence. It can be good, it can be bad. You choose to become a lawyer, most likely you won't be a doctor unless you take 10 more years, then take 10 years to study. You choose to be an engineer, can you become a lawyer? It's difficult that way. You see, there's always a sacrifice when you try to decide. And the same goes with sin. The same goes with the crowd that you hang out with. If I hang out with this crowd, it's gonna be fun. But what's gonna happen to me? What if, for example, you see, just an example, okay? What if you see one of your leaders in church go out, you see them drinking outside because it was fun? How will it affect you? How will it affect your younger disciples? I'm not saying that it's sin, but it's a stumbling block. You see, everything you do tends to have a consequence. And you see, this is where most people get it wrong. This is where most people don't see it. This is where most men, I can honestly say even men, don't see. You see, we are not good, men, lalo na tayo, we are not good at seeing the consequences ahead. Okay? We are not good at seeing the consequences ahead. We love to just have fun. We love to enjoy. We love to just keep playing Dota, and we don't realize that I have an exam tomorrow. We just love to get involved in a game. For some, even relationships, and you realize, oh my, I can't do this, I can't handle this, there's too much commitment, there's so much to go on, there's so much responsibility, I can't do this, maybe I should just keep quiet and just leave and disappear. You see, we don't see the consequences. We fail to see the consequences because we are looking at the present. And that's what happened to Jacob. That's what happened to Jacob. He was looking at the blessing. He didn't see how it's going to destroy his family. So here, when Rebekah was told what her older son Esau had said, she sent for her younger son Jacob and said to him, your brother Esau is planning to avenge himself by killing you. Now then, my son, do what I say. Mama's boy na mama's boy, di ba? Sunod na lang kay mom. Flee at once to my brother Laban in Haran. Stay with him for a while until your brother's fury subsides. So what are the consequences? There's his brother who wants to kill him. There's the father who's already dying. Siyempre, nagbago yung tingin ng daddy niya kay Jacob. And then, he had to be separated from his mom and from his dad and from his brother. You see the consequences of Jacob's actions. He had to separate. He had to go away. It doesn't even say that when he returned, he still met Isaac. Most likely, patay na si Isaac noon. Most likely, baka si Rebecca yung patay na. Baka si Isaac buhay pa, si Rebecca patay na. See, those are the consequences. So lesson number 2 is this. Before the consequences happen, we need to do this. Investigate the possible consequences before they happen. When we're trying to look for our identities, for example, in relationships, in achievements, we're trying to look for it in our friends, look at the consequences first. If I identify myself with this crowd of people, what's gonna happen to me? If I identify myself with in this kind of relationship, what's gonna happen to me? What will it do to my family? Most likely, it will affect the way your parents see you, your brother sees you, your sister sees you. You see, everything has a consequence. I remember when I was in college again, first year I joined 7 orgs. Okay, medyo maano ako eh. I didn't know what I want. I didn't know what I wanted then. I joined 7 orgs. I tried to be active in all of them. There was one time I also joined an org in UP. Odd, no? I was able to get into an org in UP. And what happened was, every time, I was also going to Elevate back then. Every time I would go to the different groups, my attitude changes. My personality changes. When I'm with one group, I'm so quiet, I'm so obedient, I'm such a good boy. They keep teasing me, oh, Pao, you're so cute, you're so quiet. And when I'm in the other group, I love to joke around, I love to tease. You can guess what group that is. That's in Elevate, that's in CCF, JSO. I love to joke around, I love to do this. When I'm with my blockmates, I'm just a quiet guy who disappears when they want to hang out. That's the kind of person I was. See, our character, our personality changes with who we hang out with. And that's not what it's supposed to be. What are the consequences? For example, what are possible consequences? What if I was hanging out with one group and I suddenly see everyone in one place? How will I act? Will I be talkative? Will I disappear? Will I be quiet? You see, it's so difficult to balance it if your personality is different, if your character keeps changing with people who you hang out with. There are consequences to it. Now suddenly, you meet up in one place, you don't know. No, what? Should I be talking? Should I be quiet? Should I be... So much. Then we go to the next part. So that's what's happening in Jacob's life. Jacob was already deceiving. He deceived his father. He deceived his brother. He already fled. He went to Laban, basically his tito. And there, while he was with his tito, he got married there with Rebecca, with Rachel, with Leah, with the 2 maidservants. He got married there. He had 11 children. So it took a while. I'm not going to share the whole story. I'm just going to summarize it. So Jacob got married. He's happy. He has children, etc. there with Laban. And then suddenly, the Lord speaks to him. The Lord tells him that you go back to your family. You go back to your family, and I will be with you. And what happened there was, when Jacob was going back, he heard from some of the messengers that Esau is going to welcome him with 400 men. 400 na ba tayo dito? Siguro hindi ko alam. Pero 400 men. When you hear that your brother is going to welcome you with 400 men, what do you think to yourself? Saya, woo, party, birthday party, welcoming party. No. Plus, your brother is mad at you, your brother is pissed off at you, your brother is going to kill you. That's the last words he said before you parted ways. I'm going to kill this brother of mine. And then you hear that he's going to welcome me with 400 people. That's good. No, it's not, no. It's scary. That Jacob was so scared. Why? Because here's Jacob, a mama's boy. He loves to shepherd. He loves to do all those. He just loves to stay where the tents are, where the family is. He just wants to stay near home. So the people, the people he was able to train, his new servants, they were all, most likely, they were all good caretakers. Now you have Esau, the brother, who's a hunter, who's a macho man, who's a big guy. When he had servants, most likely, what did he train his servants to do? Hunt. So here's Esau with his 400 big, bulky soldiers, or servants, or whatever you call them, 400 men, going to welcome a bunch of farmers, a bunch of servants, a bunch of people, shepherds. And it scares Jacob. He has 2 wives, 2 maidservants, 11 children, and then his brother is going to meet him. So what was happening here? The turning point in Jacob's life was when he felt that fear. The turning point in his life was when he was reaching the point where he said, I can't do this anymore. So this is what was happening. The turning point in Jacob's life was when he wrestled with God. Why did he wrestle with God? Okay, here, let's read it. Genesis 32, so we skipped a few chapters. That night, Jacob got up. He took his 2 wives, his 2 female servants, and his 11 sons and crossed the fjord of the Jabbok. After he had sent them across the stream, he sent over all his possessions. So, syempre tinago niya yung mga possessions niya. Meaning family niya, other possessions, yung mga valuable sa kanya. Sabi niya kasi, if I'm gonna lose everything, as long as my family is alive, that's fine. At least my line continues. And that was that night. And when Jacob was alone, a man wrestled with him until daybreak. A man wrestled with Jacob until daybreak. So can you imagine? Here's Jacob with his whole household. Then he isolates himself. Suddenly a man appears, wrestles with him, right? So here it is. Then the man said, so Jacob was actually medyo winning. He was kind of winning. And then they broke the hip. The man broke his hip. And then it said there, the man, yung nag-wrestle kay Jacob, said, let me go, for it is daybreak. But Jacob replied, I will not let you go unless you bless me. You see, the struggle that Jacob was facing that time was so big and so heavy, he was already desperate. So this was no ordinary man. They say this was an angel. This could have been, it was the image of the Lord. Say there, the man asked him, what is your name? So here's Jacob saying, no, I will not let you go. Please bless me. And he said here, my name is Jacob. Then my man said, your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you have struggled with God and with humans and have overcome. This doesn't mean that he won against God, okay? This doesn't literally mean that, hey, I overcame God, etc. No. This means that he's been through a lot. Why? Because Israel means the one who strives with God and with people. The one who strives with God and with people. Yes, he struggled with God. Yes, he struggled with so many people. He struggled with his brother, with his father, with his mother, with his father-in-law, eventually si Laban. And now he's struggling even with God. And why am I sharing this to you? Because sometimes we need to see that like Jacob, we need to reach that point in our lives where we're already so low before we realize that, Lord, only you can change my identity. Lord, only you can give me that identity. So Jacob called the place Peniel, saying, it is because I saw God face to face, and yet my life was spared. See, this is the third lesson we can find. Recognize that only God can change you. Recognize that only God can change you. We try to find ourselves, our identity with the people, achievements, friends, career, but we fail to realize that only God can change your identity. Only God can make your identity. That only God can make you who you were supposed to be. And that's what he was sharing here. It went to the point that Jacob had to wrestle with God. It went to the point that Jacob was so desperate that he said, Lord, bless me. We're going to go to our fourth point and last point, the response. What was Jacob's response after that. What did he do? He made an altar for the Lord. Here, we're going to read that. Genesis 33, 18 to 19. Can everyone read this? 1, 2, 3, go. Okay. And there he set up an altar and called it El Elohi Israel. You see, the response of Jacob with what happened, you see, I want you guys to picture that evening, that night. Here's Jacob wrestling with a man who was supposed to be God, and he says there, bless me. And then the man does not say anything, I will bless you. He didn't say anything like that. The blessing that he gave Jacob was, I'm not going to give you more descendants. I'm not going to give you more. I already said that before. What the man said to him was, I will change your name. You will be Israel. And how was that a big thing for Jacob? Imagine, because after that, Jacob stopped wrestling with him. Siguro kung nangyayari yun sa atin ngayon, here's me, I'm about to die, and then suddenly here's the image of the Lord wrestling with me, and I said, no, bless me, protect me, save me. And he said, I'll change your name. No, what I'm saying, no. How's that gonna help me? How's that gonna help me? You see, what happened here was the meaning of the name of Jacob changed. It meant to strive, to persevere. And so when Jacob's name changed to Israel, he said, you know what was running in this guy's mind? I'm going to face my brother. I'm no longer a deceiver. I'm a perseverer. Tell your seatmate, persevere. Oh, diba? Persevere. So that's what's happening. And when Jacob met Esau, there was no more conflict. When Jacob was offering sacrifices, when Jacob was offering goats, when he was offering cattle, when he was offering sheep, Esau even told him, I already have plenty, bro. I don't need this. And you see, that's the response that the Lord wants to see. The response He wants you to see is when, after all is done, after you've seen the Lord change your life, after the Lord has turned your life around, you will eventually see yung response ni Jacob, which was, he built an altar in a piece of land and called it El Elohi Israel. What does this mean? What does this mean? El Elohi Israel means, my God, the God of Israel. Who can say that to their own names? Who can build an altar for God that includes their own name? You see, the response of the change in Jacob's life was this. He saw the change that the Lord worked in him. He changed the name. He said, I'm going to commit my life. The one who's running it is this God, is the true God. He no longer said Jacob. He no longer separated God from himself. He already said, this is my God, the God of Israel, the God of Paulo, the God of your name. The altar that Jacob made had his name in it. You see, the commitment that Jacob made was so great that's what we need to apply as well. You see, when our lives have turned around, when we've seen that only God can change us, when we see that only God can turn all your sins into a blessing, into a testimony, what does He expect of us? That we commit who we are now and who we will be to the Lord. That God will be the center of our lives. That God will be the God in our hearts. That we can say El Elohi Israel. That we can say El Elohi of my life. El Elohi of my name. My God, the God of Israel. You see, and those are the 4 lessons we need to apply, to practice when we're fighting the false identities around us. What's the first? Can everyone read this? Look into what affects your decisions. What affects you? Your family, your friends, your achievements? Or is it your past sins? The second, can everyone read this? Go. Investigate. Check out the possible consequences before they even happen. Look into them. If I take this path, if I follow this group of people, if I do this, if I do that, how will it affect my future? If I fall into this sin, how will it spring up in the future? The third, recognize. Go. Recognize that Jesus is all you need, that only Jesus can change you. Recognize that it is only through Jesus that we can find our true identity. And once we realize that, and once we see that Jesus turned your life around, we can do number 4. What is the fourth? Whoa. We can commit. We can commit who we are and who we will be to the Lord. We can commit who we are and who we will be to the Lord. Just want to give an illustration. Imagine that you guys have an iPad, or you guys have a laptop, you guys have a cell phone. The maker of that device wants it to be used for internet, for messages, for preaching, etc. But can I use this as a fan? Yes, I can. Why not? An expensive fan, di ba? Can I use it as a paperweight? Yes, I can. Why not? But it's not what it's made to do. You see, we were made to do something greater. We were made to do something more. Tell that to your seatmate. You were meant to do something more. And tell this to your seatmate as well. The Lord has planned you to be someone. Stop looking for false identities in other places, in other people, in other things. Stop finding false identities, start fighting them. And try to find your true identity by discovering who God is. By discovering more of who God is, what He has done, and who He plans you to be. Before we end this message, I want everyone to just bow down their heads for a while and close their eyes. Some of you here have been through so much. Some of you here have been going through a lot of sin. Some of you here have identified themselves with their sins. Some of you here don't know if you're in the right course. Some of you here don't know if you're in the right school, in the right track, with the right friends, hanging out with the right people. Some of you here are wondering, Lord, what am I going to do in this life? Lord, where do you want me to go? Lord, who do you want me to be? And I'm telling you now that the secret to that is God Himself. Some of us here have been through so much hurt. Some of us here have grown into broken families, grown from broken families. Some of us here are about to enter broken families, seeing our parents fight. Do we identify ourselves with what's happening? That I'm growing in a broken family, I should just stay sad forever. Some of you guys here are wondering, why am I always failing my subjects? Why am I always going through this? I'm doing my best. Some of you here have gone through so much sin. Some of you here have been through a bad past. Some of you here have been through so much, and there were so many witnesses, and people identify you. Pero pare, ganyan kang tao dati. Ano nangyari sa'yo? Don't identify yourself with your sins. Don't identify yourself with your friends. Don't identify yourselves with these things. I pray that you identify yourselves with God, with who God is and who He plans you to be. Dear God, Heavenly Father, I just want to pray for the people here right now. Every student, every teenager, everyone here who is going through a crisis of their identities. It might be heavy, it might be light, we don't know what they're thinking of, we don't know, but we know that everyone here, that most of the people here, maybe are going through something, are thinking through something, are lost, are finding their identities in the wrong places, are stuck in a sin that they can't get out of. Because they've identified themselves with that sin. They've already accepted themselves as deceivers, as liars, as sinners. But I pray, Lord, that you work in and through the lives of each individual and show them that you can turn their life around, that you can change their sins, you can remove their sins, that you can change their identities, that you can change their names, that you can wipe them clean. And I pray that each individual here will commit their life to you, so that each and everyone can say that, El Elohi Israel, my God, the God of Israel. So that each individual here can say, El Elohi, with their own names. El Elohi, with their own names. Thank you so much, Lord, for this beautiful afternoon. Thank you so much for revealing yourself through your word. We pray, dear Lord, that we'll find our identities in you, that we discover who you truly are, so that we can proudly say, El Elohi. El Elohi. Thank you for everything, for working in and through our lives. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.